Bill Belicheck called U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio to express his interest in UNC head coaching job. Bill Belichick is on fire down there in Chapel Hill, and he's really trying to ignite something out of this UNC team that just didn't have a lot going with Mac Brown. So today we're going to watch some of his videos because he's got his quarterbacks out there throwing footballs, I guess you could call it throwing, and then he's got some words that he's going to wax poetically about why he doesn't have numbers on the jersey, and then we'll get deeper into the way that UNC runs everything. So I think this is a great storyline to follow, especially with a lot of different people, jumping from the NFL, back to college or to college with, Deshaun Jackson. You got Michael Vick, Matt Rule coming back. So there's a lot of different things and ways we're seeing the world of college football change, and watching college football slowly turn to the NFL. So if you enjoy college football content, football coverage, anything else in between, man, we do transfer portal, we do NIL updates, we do team updates. Comment down below too. It's offseason. Let me know if y'all want to see anything in particular. I will cover that for you, man. Like the video if you like it, dislike if you don't like it, subscribe if you enjoy this stuff. Let's hop right into it. So first things first, this is what you're here for, right? This is the quarterback group for Billy Belicheck. As you can see, I might pop it up, or you might have been seeing it actually in the what's it called? What do you call it? It might be in the little intro, the preamble. But here it is, man, in all its glory. I don't know, maybe this is the drill, maybe it's like a knuckleball drill, but man, they look like they are throwing as good as your 3-year-old niece. I mean, they don't seem upset about it, so maybe that is like the thing. Maybe the idea is to miss the ball, right? Because Bill Belichick, somebody who operates at the highest level of football, he wouldn't let anything like that happen, right? He wouldn't let anything like that happen. Let's hear him wax poetically about blank practice jerseys and how important it is to focus on the game, right?
Numbers and what color gloves we wear and all that's not as important as doing your job and being responsible and accountable to your teammates and being a good teammate. And so our focus is on the team, and we're just all out there working, practicing, trying to get better. And it's coaches, players, all of us. And so it's not all about individual notoriety right now. It's about trying to put together a team.
So also, and something else before I give my take about this. This isn't new. In back in NFL, obviously Bill Belichick used to give everybody like different numbers. Like I remember Gonzalez had like 99 or something like that. So this is something. This is just core. This is par for the course for what Bill Belichick does, right? Now, do I think in the year of 2025 that this is necessary? That if the players are good at football? No. But again, Bill Belichick likes to grab a bunch of plumbers and people who want to be insurance salesmen and turn them to football. So if they're not good at football, you might have to do some weird bullshit like this. But in my world, if you're going to be actually at the highest level in the NFL, you probably don't need to do this. And again, he did that. He won and he did amazing stuff. But it's just crazy to think how gimmicky this is too, because I remember people were mad about Deion saying, "Oh, he puts the Instagrams on the back and he just wants all this stuff." But it's like, do y'all really care? Do y'all honestly care that Bill Belichick doesn't have numbers on his practice jersey? It doesn't matter. Individualism. Nah, dog. We just usually jerseys have numbers. If you don't, okay, cool. It's really not that big of a deal. But it's Bill Belichick, so they're going to make it a big deal. I think a semi-big deal was the fact that apparently Bill Belichick called U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio to express his interest in UNC head coaching job. And Rubio reached out to North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis, who then started the process. So that's interesting to think. Obviously when you're somebody like Bill Belichick, you might have a little few more connections than the average. So that's interesting to see there. And then Bill Belichick was also kind of confirmed, or UNC in totality confirmed, that Hard Knocks will not be coming. So just a few updates there. And then we're going to hop in here and listen to Lombo. But before we get into Lombo and more about the 400 pages and all this other craziness, I'm sure they're going to talk about the transfer portal. They're going to talk about NIL. I just want to talk about kind of something that I alluded to, and it's this. The optics, right? It's very interesting how Bill Belichick gets to come into it. Undoubtedly, Super Bowl champion coach. He gets to come in and say whatever stupid bullshit, and then, like, he gets it's oh my God, Bill Belichick. Oh my, he's a genius. He's promoting non-individualism. It's just like, dog, I don't. Maybe you don't have the good enough players that y'all can just say, hey, let's learn the scheme, because they're having an issue throwing a football. So I don't know where we are. But do I think Bill Belichick is leading them in the wrong way? No. I think he's right. Again, back to optics, I don't think he believes all that bullshit. I just think that it's good to do that when you're operating around 18-year-olds, 22-year-olds, right? This culture shock that you kind of want to put into place. I think it's an important part of almost like breaking the psyches of a team and making sure that you establish a culture. So in that regards, that's great. But other than that, it's just, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just because I'm getting older, and I used to be a football in high school days. But you hear all this stuff that coaches say. I'm like, y'all just be bullshit. Y'all just be saying stuff. But hey, sometimes it works. Let's hear what Lombo has to say about a 400-page plan and all this other craziness. Apparently, he's got the football Bible down there at Chapel Hill. So let's hear a little bit of it.
Yeah.
How are you, man?
Welcome to Chapel Hill, guys. It's exciting to be here. I'm not going anywhere yet, Pat. You can't kick me to the curb yet. I'm not ready to go anywhere.
You got a lot of work to do. You're down there in Chapel Bill. You get it? Okay.
Yes.
Lombo, let's talk about it. Shoot us straight here. How long have you been thinking about getting into or back into a team and being in some sort of general manager role? And how long have you been thinking about doing it for college as opposed to the NFL? How'd we get here?
Well, we got here because of my great respect for the greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick. I mean, that's why I'm here, because there was never a time in my life that I enjoyed more in my professional career than working for him and building football teams with him and understanding and learning the game of football from him. So this is an opportunity that really kind of came about because of that. And I'm really excited at this point in my career. I'm certainly not ready to retire. I think I have a lot to offer. I think I'm probably more ready to be a GM now than I was when I was one earlier in my career because of experience. And so I'm excited to work with Coach again. I'm excited to work here in Chapel Hill. We've always said this is a magical place. It's funny how history turns around, Pat. In 1992, Bill and I were on this campus. We were scouting. We were living in Cleveland at the time. Dark winters, cold rain. You know how it goes. And we needed to get south. We came to Chapel Hill. And we stayed over at the Carolina Inn, this really magnificent hotel on campus. We brought Jim Schwartz and all the guys from Cleveland. We watched tape all day, went for a jog, watched a baseball game, and we thought, how in the hell can't you win here? And that's been in our minds ever since. And I think, to me, this is a magical place that has had great players. Lawrence Taylor, Julius Peppers, some incredibly great players. We need to build great teams.
You guys took a snow trip down to Chapel Hill, picked up camp, moved it there. You said you go for a jog, watch some film, go to a baseball game. You're talking about how close everything is down there at UNC, right?
Take you. We're going to go through it deeply. I mean, this is an advertisement for it. We're going to go deep into it because we're going to rebuild the team, and I think it's important. I don't think it's just this is team building.
This is him talking about the transfer portal and how UNC will use it.
Build the team the right way so that we have sustainable success, so that you can compete at the highest level of college football. I think that's really important. I think everybody makes too much about the cap. Certainly the players deserve to get paid, but more into the cap, there's two things that involve the cap. It involves how do we develop players to become good players, and how do we pay the players that already are good players. So there's two systems that are going on simultaneously. And you need a head coach like Coach Belichick who understands that. Player development is the key to salary cap. We've seen this. The Jacksonville Jaguars have done this for years. They buy players. They haven't won enough games. You got to develop your own players from within.
Okay, so let's talk about developing your own players from within. We asked Coach about this the other day, and he said that his recruiting move, or how he's going to deal with recruiting, is projecting what the proper position is for a player, and then also showcasing, like, if you follow and you come and do what we do, you're going to be pipeline to the NFL. Have you guys thought it as a GM? I don't think any of us know these roles that are kind of happening in college ball. What is recruiting for you guys? And Coach Prime obviously has been able to do it the way that he has done it, which is Zoom calls, I believe, FaceTimes, and then also whenever he has to, he's making visits and doing everything he has to do, and he's been able to get all of the guys that he wants to be able to come there. Then there's the old school way where, hey, we're on the road, we're texting, we're hosting, we're doing all these. How do you see your guys' recruiting world being? Because that's the biggest difference seemingly from the NFL.
Well, the biggest thing is we're going to evaluate the players on the tape. That's the most important. We're not going to watch highlight tapes. We're going to watch the player play. But the player in high school is different than the player in college. You have to use high school to really give you an idea about the player. Let's take Cooper DeJean for the Eagles, second-round pick out of Iowa. If you watched his basketball tape when you played basketball in high school, you're like saying to yourself, this guy's a unique athlete, and there's something we can do with him. There's four kind of scouts, Pat, in every organization. There's the poor scout who can't see anything. There's the picking scout who picks on one thing the player can't do. And then there's the production scout who only grades the player's production. But the most important scout in your organization is the projection scout, to see a player and project his future. And so that's our job as scouts. We're going to go to these high schools. We're going to watch the players, but we're also going to take into account what did he do in track? What did he do in wrestling? What does he do in, the best state wrestler in North Carolina is probably could be a great offensive lineman. So we're going to take all the elements that go into an athlete and put it together and paint a picture. And then what we're going to do more than anything is we're going to develop that player. We're going to develop the skills from within that fit the system, because we're building a team. We're not building an all-star team. We're building a team, and that team is related to what we're going to do and win on the field.
I forget who it was just a couple weeks ago. Somebody in the college ball world, might have been Coach Saban, I'm not sure, said, hey, there's an opportunity for big kids in high school, to be offensive linemen. Wrestlers, there's an opportunity to potentially get into the football world. Because you think about all the great offensive lines basically throughout colleges. It's always like, this guy was a high school wrestler, this guy was a high school wrestler, this guy was a high school wrestler. And you guys showing up and watching a game, the buzz.
Not out of Al.
Yeah, I expect his Division I work, especially now that Bill's back in coaching. But with that being said, it was.
He's going to talk about the reported 400-page football manifesto. Here we go.
Would be run and how the program would look, and he gave it to the board. Is that something you have read or that you knew of, and did you help him kind of build that together? And have you kind of contributed to that plan when it comes to that 400-page report?
Well, I think everybody has contributed to that plan, because Coach Belicheck's a meticulous note taker, and he's an incredible processor of information. I think that all those notes that he talked about with Chancellor Lee Roberts here at North Carolina were all about his life, the education of a coach. And I think that went into all that. And I think we become better coaches, we become better executives as we get older. Some of the mistakes we made when we think we know it all at age 30, we find out that we didn't know it all at age 65. But I think part of that notes is how to build a winning team and how to build a championship. I don't know if it was 400 pages, but I'm sure from all the coaches in New England, all the coaches that were with us in Cleveland, they all contributed to that as well, because it's a learning process that you go through to how to build a team the right way and how to.
All right, so he's got 400-page football Bibles. He's got, quarterbacks that can't hit the side of a barn, and then jerseys with no numbers of it. So what do I make of it? Because my take is very invaluable in this situation. It doesn't really mean anything. Look, I think I want to say it like this. I know I was kind of joking about the quarterbacks, whatever. Look, it's the first few days of spring practice. The kids are going to be okay. Bill Belichick might know one or two things about playing the game of football, and I think he knows even more about the history of football. Again, he grew up in the Naval Academy, right, was coaching with Nick Saban, basically was right next to Nick Saban, mentoring him and aiding him in his professional career, both of them, because I believe they're similar ages. Bill Belichick being a little older, if I do remember correctly. I could be wrong. They're both old fogies, and they've seen a lot of football. They know a lot of football, and when they talk, especially someone like Michael Lombardi, who is so closely associated with Bill Belichick, I think you should be able to open your ears to that. And I want to talk about something that he says, where the idea of understanding how to use the transfer portal. Because, and not to, bring it back to Deion Sanders, but, Pat McAfee kind of alluded to, well, Deion's doing this, he's doing that. It's a lot of transfer portal stuff. It's a lot of doing this. And I think the crazy part is that when Bill Belichick says it and when Michael Lombardi says it, it just seems like, the NFL way. They're going to do good in the transfer portal. They're going to build some players up because, hey, they've been in that portal and they're open about going in the portal. They're open about utilizing NIL needs. And of course, there was the linking of UNC to Quinn Ewers. And then there was a linking to UNC and Arch Manning, right? So I think it's safe to say that they're doing the damage that they need to get done in the transfer portal. But that developing part, the developing is everything, right? And I think it was so crazy to me, because you know, Lombo even alluded to, you know, you got to rebuild the whole culture. When people were coming at Dion for transferring a bunch of people in, it's like, what do you want him to do in the first year, in the first 2 years? Like, I got to have years here to develop people. I can't develop anybody in 3 months. I can't develop anybody in a year. But now that there's 2 years, watch what happens. Watch what happens at 4. I always say this. This is just something that I have brought up. You cannot even start evaluating a head coach until his 4th, 5th year, right? Especially specifically in college, because of the way recruiting works. That means you finally have your first batch of what's it called? I was about to say rookies, freshmen as your seniors. This is your first full class. All of these players are your recruited, your whatever. Yeah, I mean, obviously with the you know, the crazy eligibility years is a little different, but typically with a regular eligibility, 4 years, everybody, your freshmen are now your seniors. Everybody else is a new class. Now let's evaluate, because this full thing isn't just amalgamations of other people and these ideas and those and these other, like, it takes a lot, and it's a process. I think UNC is going to look terrible this year. And it's not because of the quarterback's throwing. I think it's because that's what it takes to really break down a team and build it back up. And I think they're doing that. I think they're going to prioritize, you know, getting some young transfer portal guys. I think there's a way you can do it. I think there's a way that you can get people who are under-recruited. There's a lot of people going to JUCOs, D2s, D3s that Bill Belichick is extremely familiar with. He's the king of FCS of teams. Of going into these smaller schools and smaller teams and snatching them up. So you think that's going to change at all when it comes to the relation of going from college to college? I don't think so. And you'd be a fool to think so. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. I think this story is interesting. I think this is going to be a great story just to follow throughout the world of college football, because you talk about a magnifying glass. I just hope that y'all put the same magnifying glass when this spring transfer portal open and Billy Belichick is in there getting some work done. Let's just say the same thing, man. It's going to get real nasty. Just don't say it's NFL stuff when Bill Belichick does it, because it should have been NFL stuff what Deion was doing. I don't know. Maybe he's a trendsetter, dog. I don't know. They say I talk about Deion too much, but I mean, come on, dog. It's like LeBron of basketball. Y'all, what I'm giving the people what y'all want. Y'all want me to talk about them. That's why you're here, dog. But like the video if you're here. Dislike it if you don't like what I said, because I do be yapping. Subscribe if you enjoy college football content, transfer portal stuff, interesting news and story. That's what we do around here. You be great. You be elite. You be amazing. Have a great day. See you next time. Peace.